One of the security stories in the press today is the fact that Heathrow and Gatwick Airport are buying their own counter-drone equipment and spending in excess of £5 million. Some people are questioning what that equipment is, what it does, and why it's taken them so long to do this. Did they not recognise the threat beforehand? Well, the threat is part of a continuously reviewed number of threats across a complete spectrum, from terrorist attacks through to theft and vandalism on the airport, and they're put into a spectrum, and there's a security management system that's put in place with the airport security professionals and CAA guidelines, and drones have really in the past been looked as a threat to hitting an aircraft and causing an aircraft to fall out of the sky, and that's what they've been concentrating on first and foremost. And they've got some good procedures in place to deal with that. Drones being deliberately flown to cause disruption, whilst it had been considered before, was not considered likely. If it had been terrorists that are doing it, there are other mechanisms in place from the intelligence agencies monitoring what terrorist organisations are doing. But if you get a disaffected individual or group of individuals, it's very, very difficult to defend against. Technologies will do two things effectively. One's jamming, the other's detection. Jamming is very difficult, especially in the UK, because it's against the Wireless Telegraphy Act of 2006, and therefore there need to be a change in the law to allow them to do that. But again, it's technically very difficult given the number of signals that there are around an airport, because if you jam one, it's likely to interfere with others, and if you do that in a wide area, draw a 5-kilometre circle around Gatwick or Heathrow, and now that's the areas that you could potentially be jamming into. You could be disrupting a number of other civil signals, and the control signals for a lot of drone equipment are very similar to Wi-Fi signals. You wouldn't want to jam Wi-Fi for a 5-kilometre area around Heathrow for a period of time because of what's going on. You'd want to have some other mechanism of identifying where the aircraft is coming from, where it's landing, and getting the operator. That's the best drone defence that you've got, arresting the operator. And therefore you want a detection capability. That detection capability could be radar. The radar has to be specialist. Excuse me. The radar has to be specialist because drones are very small, plastic, and contain very little metal. And normal airport radars are designed to pick up big aluminium tubes flying in and out on fixed paths, or look at the ground around the airport and look at the vehicle movements that there are there, so that they can detect any threats that there are on the runway and elsewhere. So you need a specialist radar to be able to look out and detect drones, these small plastic fast-moving devices. And if you can detect where they've taken off from, the flight path before they come in, before they become a threat, you can then, if necessary, close flight movement until that threat has disappeared again, and then find out where it's gone and landed. And you have your mechanisms in place to very quickly go and interdict the person that's operating it. Then you get rid of the problem. The radar is one capability that's there. There are two other sorts of technologies. Combine all three together and you've got a fantastic system. The two other technologies are thermal imaging. Drones, the little electric motors will give off a degree of heat, and therefore it'll be different to the background heat. And if you can use a thermal imager to pick that up, again, it helps you detect and track the drone. And the second thing is acoustic. Drones, by the very nature of the sound that comes off the propellers, I've got a DJI drone. It sounds like a huge hornet as it's flying around the place. That's a particular frequency, and acoustic sound detection is very good at picking up those frequencies and helping you to triangulate where this is coming from, where it's going to, and where it's going back to. Put all that together, you've got a fantastic system. We haven't seen the end of this story yet.